Live. Let's see if this is on point. Yes, indeed. My head is in the picture, nice and bold, looking ready to go. Cool. We're going to go through a couple charts. It's a nice little late night session we got going on. We got PLTR on the screen, but we're going to see my watch list and see how crazy it's looking. So this is a good amount of stocks, and this is what it looks like every single day. I got a bunch of the momentum stocks, and we got half of them looking green, half of them looking red, and we're gonna see what's hot. I'm gonna check the chat, see if any of you guys are asking any questions as we come along with the stream. All right, let me actually share my screen. That's rookie mistake number one. Share the screen. The entire screen. Share. Bow. 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 Let me know if you guys can hear me. Let me know if you guys can hear me. It's working on my side. All right, so we are going for 100 days streaming. So that's the big news. That's the breaking news. All right, 100 days coming out of my cave. You can see I got the hoodie halfway on, almost off, you know, but I'm coming out of the cave. I was a hermit for a little bit, but we're gonna showcase a few things as we're coming out the cave, and we're gonna look at some good stocks. We're gonna do some charting, some analyzing. We're gonna be talking about the market environment. You see, I got my fancy paper right here, so you know I'm serious. I'm not playing games. All right, we're gonna discuss some interesting stocks, interesting news and events. Few market predictions. You know, doesn't mean they're gonna, come true. Maybe, but that's part of why we're here. We want to make some predictions, make this fun, not just sit here looking at a bunch of candles, right? We want to actually say, hey, we think this is has the potential to happen, right? No one knows what's gonna happen 100%, so we got to make sure that's ingrained in the back of our head with anything that we say on this channel or anything that comes out of my mouth or anyone else's mouth. Even if you're watching CNBC or whatever fancy news channel, no one knows 100% what's going to happen. Only God does. All right. So that's part of what we're going to be talking about on this channel also, and these live streams is a little bit of spirituality and how that fits into trading. We're going to cover some mindset tips, some trading advice, trade breakdowns, a little bit of lifestyle, and then we might throw a little bit of promo in there, just a little bit, right? And we got some free stuff for you guys. Whoever wants to become an elite trader, anyone else that's just here for a hobby, it's cool. You can just watch it, watch the streams, but this is really for the the traders who's about that life, right? Who actually trade, right? Just because you're entering and exiting doesn't really make you a trader, right? Everybody wishes they could just push a button and print money, but it does come with some skill. It does come with some mindset stuff, and we're gonna be talking about all that on this channel. And then you guys could throw some questions in the chat at any time. All right, we are gonna hop straight into it. We're gonna start off with SPY. You can see my fancy watch list on the side right there. It's probably like 80 stocks. So we don't have a shortage, right? We don't have a shortage of what we can analyze. All right, so this mouse needs to be a little bit quicker, all right, because we're doing live. What I do want to do is grab my fancy tool to draw. So let's make sure we're able to draw and show you some good stuff, right? Look at this. I'll show you guys something. Bow. Right now I could make things visual for you guys, but we're looking at this at the weekly chart on SPY. All right, if you guys don't know what time frame this is the weekly time frame on SPY, and you can see that we're above this 50 EMA. All right, this yellow line. That's an easy way to understand if we're bullish or bearish, right? The price is sitting right there and it's above this line, meaning right now, technically, overall, we're bullish. All right, now we also got this blue line, which is our 9 EMA. That's another moving average, and that tells us if we're bullish or bearish. And now you're wondering, well, you just said that about the yellow line, but you got two lines. So the yellow one is for overall, the blue one, which is my 9, that's for the short term. All right, so we could be bearish in the short term, but overall in the big picture, the market could still be going up. So that's a situation that we're actually in right now. So technically we are in a slight bear market, right? It's hard to really say exactly that we're in a bear market because you can see how high the price is compared to where it was. But it's a short term, right? Very short term. And we could easily take a turn and go back up to new highs, right? And we would have pretty much notice of that because we're still above this 50 EMA. So that's how you could use a simple indicator like the moving average to understand the trends of this chart stuff. All right. Now, the weekly gives you only a certain picture of the bigger view of the market. So, what we could do is go to a lower time frame, right? So, how would I describe this? I'm seeing this as the market is just moving in a range. It's a tight range, right? Compared to the amount of movement over the last few months. But if you really think about it, this is a huge range when you zoom on in because you got 697 at the top of the range and then you got let's say 671 at the bottom. That's like 25 points, and even just 2 points, right? $2 could make you a whole lot of money in trading. So sometimes, if you go back in the day, like before 2020, right? The market used to only move like $2 for the whole day, right? So now we're seeing some crazy moves, like $10 moves in a day is like average, depending on which market condition you're in. But yeah, I think we got enough analysis from this weekly time frame, so we could go to the lower time frame. So let me just wrap that up for you guys, show you exactly what range I'm looking at. So this here, this here. That's the range that I'm looking at. Why? Because I see this as like the start, right? And then we pushed up, we came down, right? So that's why I drew this level. And then we went up and then we came down again. And then you could technically draw another level there because that's a low before we went up. And then you notice when we came down, we bounced at this previous low. And now we went back to the highs and then we're back down to this low. So that's why I say you want to draw these lows because that's showing you where the support, aka the new range supports are. So there's always a range, and it's up to us to continuously draw support and resistance levels to keep up with these ranges. And if you're not, then you're going to be left wondering why the market bounced, or why are we not going up, or why are we not going down, because you just got to know what the situation is. So you got to, yeah, this is like a wild wild west going on in the market. You got to be able to keep up. So let's zoom in a little bit. Let me zoom in a little bit and just start drawing some actual lines on this chart. So here we have this support right there, and that's where the market came down at the beginning of February, came all the way back up to this high, and we're just bouncing around, right? We're just bouncing around between this 677 area. I got to get more exact on that. We could see on the lower time frames, and then this 697 area. All right, so this is a pretty nice range. How would you trade this? In hindsight, obviously buy at the bottom, sell at the top, and could get some good money off for that. But if you want a day trade, then you got to go lower in the time frames. So we're gonna go from weekly. I'm gonna skip the daily. I'm going straight for the 4 hour because we're not playing games. All right. I feel like the daily sometimes just shows you the same thing as the weekly. Of course, there's details you could miss out on, but for this purpose of this stream, I will skip down to the 4 hour chart. All right, now we are looking at some intraday action, and you guys are wondering, how far back is this? What am I looking at? All right, because that's something that a lot of people don't really understand. When they pull up charts, they don't know what time frame this is, and they don't really understand the difference between time frames. So always ask, hey, what time frame is this? This is the 4 hour. And let's hop straight into it. So same thing. Look at the moving average. Look at the highs and lows. Look at the volume. Look at how the candlesticks are responding. Are we inside the range? Are we in a downtrend? Are we in an uptrend? All these questions, right? But what am I seeing right now? I could see that we got some higher highs. Sorry, higher lows. Notice they're getting higher and higher. But also, we got some lower highs. All right. And we're meeting at this point here, which will be Friday, which could create a big move up or a big move down. So I would really be watching the 681, 682 area as a support, and then this 689 area as a resistance, because that could be where the market could break to the upside or the downside. All right. And then, of course, you have this 675, 676 area as a next support. And then you got this 671 area as a true support, right? This is where the market took off. So you really want to pay attention to this. If this breaks down, it could break down further. And obviously, this all-time high at 697, 698, if we break through that, you could see a nice move to the upside. So really, these are the main levels. If you guys walk away with this video not knowing anything, understand that the 697 all-time high is the major level you want to pay attention to, so you can set an alert, right? How do you do that? This is Thinkorswim software. So I could just right click, hit create alert, and anything above 698 or whatever I set it to, is gonna send me a text message. Could send you an email, whatever you want. And just because the price breaks that level, I will get the notification right away. And that could mean a lot of things for you depending on how you like to trade. All right. Same thing for this level here, 670. I could just right click, hit the button that says create alert, and I'm gonna say at or below this level. So if it goes below this level, 671, I don't know what this is. I don't know why that just popped up. But dang, the numbers just changed. Let me fix that. 671. Anything below that, I want to know. So it'll text me. It'll give me a call. Nah, it's not gonna call you. Maybe, but it will definitely text you. We could set up like an AI with a fake voice and it could give you a call. SPY has broken below 671. So let's get back to business. What am I seeing? The market is in a range, to tell you the truth. And I don't think anyone really likes ranges unless you know how to trade them, right? Most people, you know how to trade them, but you refuse to respect it because as soon as it does something, I wouldn't even say crazy, but as soon as the market starts going up, we like to believe it's going to continue going up. But what we're supposed to do when we're in a range, for example, take a look at this one here. This is a range that the markets, it did break above, right? It got above the range, and we're probably thinking, oh, we're going to continue moving up, but the market didn't necessarily confirm that the range is a support for us to believe the market could continue going up. All right. So what actually happened is the price just poked its head above the range, and then you can see how it came back down. All right. Now we're gonna draw a little bit. I'm gonna draw this support at this line. I'm gonna zoom in. All right. I'm just zooming in case you guys get confused. All right. So I just drew this support, and notice that the price, it did close below it, indicating that we could move further down. All right. The next range on this chart, I would say, is the higher day from today, which is 686, right? 686, and the low day. So the price could do its ranging thing up and down in between here. We do have validation to go lower, but right, notice we got these higher lows, and then this range break above this high is saying up. These higher lows are saying up, right? So technically we could continue to go up as long as we maintain this support here, right, at 682, 681, right? And you guys are probably wondering why I'm only analyzing the SPY right now and I haven't gotten to any stocks. Is because 3 out of 4 stocks is going to follow what the SPY does, right? So I always make sure I know what the overall market is doing, so I could take care of the big fish rather than looking at the little fish, knowing that the big fish is going to dictate what really happens, right? So we're going to finish this analysis up, and then we're going to check out some stocks like PLTR, NVIDIA, Tesla, and see what those guys are doing. All right. Now, like I said, this is a tricky environment because we're in a range. It's telling us we could go up, it's telling us we could go down. So the way that you would trade this is make sure you draw your ranges, and you want to sell at the tops, buy at the bottoms, when the market gives you the right signal. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, right? So understand everything is upon your own risk, right? We're just here charting and we're here analyzing. Um, and I'm just telling you what I would do, right? And if you look at Investopedia or any of these websites that teach you how to trade, like Trade 101, right? Beginner trading, it's going to tell you the same thing, right? When you're in a range, you expect the market to range. So the best strategy is selling at the tops, buying at the bottoms, and you just rinse and repeat. The only thing is that the market is continuously creating new ranges. So you gotta be able to update your ranges as the market moves, which is the work that no one really wants to do, right? The work is in drawing the ranges, and then you gotta trade the ranges. But people are working backwards. They're trading, not even knowing that it's a range, and they're not really drawing as accurately as they probably should. And a lot of people are drawing, but they don't understand it. So in my course, I have a framework for everything that we do, including entries, strategies, exits, everything. Um, so yeah, I just stick to my framework, which is pretty simple. Like you could see me talking about just ranges and trends. That's pretty much just only two things that could happen. So the market is moving up here, and that's a trend, but we're also moving sideways in a range, which I believe I showed you on a bigger weekly chart. Any questions? Throw it in the chat. Feel free to ask away because this is a live stream. So how do you trade this crazy mess that you have here? Like I said, you just got to keep drawing, and you got to know how to trade the ranges versus how to trade trends. And that's as simple as the game could be. If you understand how to trade a range, you just spot the range. Like let's just draw one right here. Let's draw a range. This was the high of yesterday and then the low yesterday, right? Technically, you would buy here expecting the market to move up, which it did today, right? When the market gets to the top of this range, you sell expecting it to go down and you can make your money there. Now, the tough part is people will see that it's working and they're like, yo, this is crazy. It's actually working. I'm making money. The unrealized profits are going up, but it's unrealized until you hit the button to take your profit and then it becomes realized. Then you could talk your shit. But until you take your profit, you got to know that you should be knowing where to take your profit and when to take your profit. And then the biggest thing of all is to actually do it, right? So there's been many cases where I'll have my hand on the button to take profit, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it, and I never do it, right? Because there's something interesting going on in our minds that doesn't want to let go of the opportunity to see what could possibly happen if I just stay in the trade. You can make more money, right? And that's where the mental performance aspect of being a trader comes into play, because all of this stuff is just analyzing. This is like the coach, but in order to make the dollars yourself, you got to be able to be the athlete, which is the trader. All right, so that's where the execution comes into play. Now let's move on to some stocks. So we're gonna pull out this fancy watch list on the side. Let's see what's the biggest gainer of today. We got Beyond Meat. Uh Beyond Meat, it says 10% up, but I think it's a cheat because it's only 79 cents. So it doesn't really need to move much for it to be up a lot. Then you got SMCI. SMCI had a pretty nice move from about $29 up to $32. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, how could we have caught something like this? All right, I see a support right there. And this is pretty simple, right? Notice the market went up. Notice the market came down. Where did it come down to? This previous support level, right? Notice right there. That's where it happened. Then you will look for some bullish activity and ride a wave to the upside. Notice the volume increased. That is actually beautiful for understanding when the activity is picking up, and when the activity is picking up, the price is most likely to pick up along with it. All right. So these are signs to pay attention to. Where could we head to? Well, let's look at the bigger picture on SMCI. This could be $1 million opportunity. All right. So let's look into what's happening. Wow. This came down from 122 bucks all the way in 2024, dropped as low as $16, went up to $66, and now it's at $32. And I see this pennant. It did break through and it could push up. And yeah, that's as much as we need to see. I mean, we could be a little bit more detailed, and I could show you this demand zone we got there, and this is technically respecting the top of that zone. And this is due for a nice move up. I like SMCI towards the upside. Now, the next level to pay attention to is this 35 to $36 area. Let's see what's the high on this, 35.88. And then the next level would be 41. All right. So you might want to give this some time to play out because this is the weekly chart. And that's the update on SMCI. Moderna's looking like it has some movement from this $49 area. Oh, this is nice. This is really nice. I like how it has this crossover right there, and it respected that 50 EMA as support. Big, big signs, right? And then you can see this beautiful movement that we have up from this week. This is the weekly chart, so let's look into the 4 hour and see what's going on. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, continuously going up, and it looks like we have this resistance at 51, where the market is going to have to make a choice. Are we going to reverse to the downside from this $51 area, or are we going to continue to break through? All right. Now, this was a support level before that, which was what the market used to bounce off of right there before making this push up. Now, also notice how we was below this 50 EMA yellow line, and here is where we got above it, and we started to hold this blue line, which indicates some short-term bullishness, and that was a nice sign for Wednesday and Thursday today, letting us know that we have some upside going on. Also pay attention to these resistance levels. So I could just draw one, because resistance levels could turn into support. So this is the main one here. This was never really touched. So that's a reason why the market could come down. This is another resistance level, another resistance level. So just, keep this. If you guys know how to trade resistance, know how to trade support, um, just trade it could be simple, because once you draw your lines in the right areas, you just trade them the same way you always trade them. You know, that's how I believe trading could be, as simple or as complex as you could make it, really. All right, Mara. Let's take a look at Mara. Let's take a look at Sound, and then MSTR, and then RDTI. And then we're going to move our way to the bearish side, but we're going to move a little quicker so we could check out some more stocks. This looks pretty sideways on Mara. I guess Bitcoin isn't really doing much. We could check on Bitcoin later. But that's what I'm seeing. This is $7 to like $8. I'm not interested in this because I'm not really seeing much momentum, not that much wiggle room. So I'll pass. I'm good. Sound. This is like an AI stock. I actually really like the way it moved. So let's zoom out a little bit. It went from like $4 to $24 in like I think 2-3 months. Crazy move. So let's do something with this charting. I just want to draw this demand zone right there, and you can see that's where the market is sitting at. This is a pretty strong area. Sound, I would put this on that watch list. This is a good one because we are sitting at the previous lows. Now, from this low, we went all the way up to $22, and then we dropped all the way back down to $7. So, if you're talking about discounts, I mean, come on, man. So look at this. We was at $2, and notice these lows has not been broken. Right? We continuously make nice moves up, and we continuously make these nice higher lows. So if this has been happening, right? These nice pushes, huge pullbacks. I believe $7 on sound is damn near a steal, right? The market is has pretty much everything on sale. So you're just sitting around on Black Friday wondering what should I spend my last dollar on, right? And sound is pretty cheap. It's $7. Pretty sure the options, you get some nice options on this. But this is the weekly chart, so you gotta give this some time to cook a little bit. All right. Let's keep it moving. We're moving on to MSTR. So this one is at a supply zone, sorry, demand zone, and I put this out on my in my Discord earlier in the month that pay attention to that. And that's all I'm gonna say. This one, RGTI, same thing. I could see this demand zone that we got there. It pushed all the way up to $58 and then came all the way down. Wow, this is a steal. Quantum stocks, you definitely want to hop on these. Just pay attention to them. I'm gonna be giving out some nice plays inside the community. Link is in the bio, and that's all I'm gonna say. Right? I'm gonna give you guys good analysis, but I feel like with certain stocks or certain setups, you don't have to say too much, right? That's like if Apple went from $200 and it's sitting at $20, $20. Like, do I have to tell you about, hey, this is probably something we should be taking a look at, right? But just being that it's a quantum stock that we're looking at, it's really worth it because that's a whole rabbit hole, right? Will quantum stocks be our new government? Maybe, right? I'm gonna save that for the next live stream though. All right, we're gonna keep it moving. Now let's see what's the lowest performing stocks. All right, the lowest performing stocks we got Klarna. Klarna was in the news for getting crushed. Now, whenever I think about Klarna, I think about Affirm because they're kind of part of the same business model. So Affirm is sitting at $51. Interesting. All right, so this one started at 57. This is a brand new stock from last year, and didn't do too well. We're at $13. It's just been under this 50 EMA, which I told you guys is a great indicator to know if we're bullish or bearish. And we've been under this line for some time, since back in October, right? Also, we've been under this short-term moving average line since October as well, which could have been a sign to hold your puts. And if you held some puts, you could have been holding a nice bag that continues to get bigger as time goes on. Not much to say because there's no real history on this to really analyze. It's just a brand new stock that just keeps on falling. I mean, Sucks for people who thought this was gonna take off. But let's look at the 4 hour chart now. I guess most people are wondering when this could bounce. And I think that when the bad news comes out initially after a downtrend, that's usually the time where the market could bounce on that fresh bad news, because a lot of people are seeing that bad news and like, oh, it came down a lot and it's bad news, let me short. And then usually the market works opposite to what the masses are thinking. So most likely the market would be going up if that theory held up. And then, you know, probably might come back down. But if we're talking about if this could bounce, when it could bounce, I think when people are least expecting it to bounce is when it could bounce, which is pretty much right now. So I mean, we could take a look at this tomorrow and see if that holds up. And we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep it moving. CVNA Carvana is another one that has been dropping ever since it made this crazy run. So let's take a look. Let's take a look. Carvana from like 50 something dollars to like 480 something. I mean, crazy run. If it comes down even more, I mean, you still got to respect that it came a long way. So not much to say, but it's in the range. And when I say there's not much to say, there's always something to say. It's just whether I really want to put the energy into it, right? Because what you can see here is we got a nice range. I could see we have a demand zone here where the market could, well, it actually did have a reaction to. So I'm going to zoom in on the 4 hour and see how the market actually reacted to this. So it's interesting. We did break below this zone and then we came back above to try to hold it. But I would look at this range and just, I mean, you could really just wait for the market to break out of this top or break out of this bottom to trade it. Or you could just buy at the lows, sell at the highs. And this one is pretty volatile, but got to be a scalper with this one. I'm not really seeing too much of an edge with this Carvana stock right now. This one looks like it could play around and do a lot of wacky stuff. So I would probably stay away from trading that one. All right, Rivian. This one is a hot stock. It's hot stock for a long time because Amazon is rolling around in their trucks, right? And everyone is always ordering something off of Amazon. So technically, this one is usually always in play. And you can see on this 4 hour chart, it's always making some sort of move, like $11 to 16. And then this nice move at $11 to 18. And then I went all the way up to 22 and then came all the way down to 13. So this is giving us a lot of opportunities for shorts and calls. But the whole idea is, are we able to know when it's going to bounce? Right? It's pretty wacky. It does give opportunities, but do we know with high probability, high conviction, when and where it could bounce? And that's what we care about. Am I seeing anything that makes sense? Okay. I see something, guys. Caught a fish. We got a supply zone right there, and that's what the market used to give a nice little bounce. Let's move to the 15-minute time frame and analyze a little bit more. And this was a really nice, clean move. You can see how the market, this candle came down, and then this green candle gave some nice confirmation. That's a beautiful couple right there. Good engulfing candle could have gave some movement to the upside from $15. Okay, a little 50-cent move. but that could pay pretty well in options. That could be anywhere from like 20 to maybe 50% on your money, depending on which option you choose. And when I say that, I mean which expiration date you choose and which strike. All right. So let's see. Any questions? Any questions in the YouTube chat room? Let me know. But I think we probably got about 10 minutes left and then we'll close the stream and we'll be back tomorrow. So share it with your friends, share it with your mama, share it with your son, your daughter, because this is financial literacy, man. And I'm pretty sure that everyone would love to know how to analyze some money for the purpose of making money and not losing as much money as you probably would if you didn't understand financial literacy. So let's look at something that we care about, like NVIDIA. What did NVIDIA do today? So being at its 0.04% down, it probably moved sideways. It probably didn't do much. Let's take a look. So this is the 15. I'm going to zoom out because looking at what happened on the 15-minute chart doesn't give me a bigger picture view. So that's why I just zoomed out to the weekly chart. Now I could see we had this nice run back in late June from 120 up to like 180. All right. And then we pulled back to like 160. So let me draw this high because this is important. All right. This is where the market decided to stop after its crazy rally. All right. So it went up, came down, went up, came down, and pretty much we're just moving sideways at this point of interest of 185. So 185 is an area, it's a thick area for orders. All right. What am I trying to say? I don't know. I'm just saying, pay attention to this in the future because say if the market does some crazy stuff like go to 300 and then it crashes down, 185 could be a level that holds because this is a thick area, it's a dense area of orders, aka somewhat like a support, right? If you get down to the definition of what support is, it's just a level where there's more buy orders than sell orders, which is why it's hard to break through that level unless you have more sell orders to overcome the buy orders. So what I'm seeing in this area is a lot of orders, meaning keep it on watch. And what we could do is draw a range at the top and the bottom. So this range here is like 195. This range here is about 162. So it's a pretty big range. Nvidia is kind of wacky in the short term. So you just got to scalp. And we do have a range break above this all-time high. So it's aside from it being Nvidia, yeah, of course, I'm expecting this to go up. Now, what we could do is come down in the short term to test this 50 EMA at about the 170 area. Then it could move up, and that's what I'm keeping my eyes out on. But you can see how much wackiness is doing in the short term. It could really continue doing that same thing for who knows how long. All right, so that's why I say you got to play the short term. And I mean, you could just do your dollar cost average if you're long term investing, but you really got to be a day trader, swing trader in the short term to really make any money with high conviction in this type of environment. So any stocks you guys want me to go over, feel free to drop it in the chat. And we got about two more, right? Two more stocks. Let's see what's going on. I like Google. You know, why do I like Google? Because if it wasn't for Google, you guys probably wouldn't be watching me right now. Right? We're using their platform as we speak. All right, YouTube. All right, so Google is kind of right next to Nvidia, so it's looking like they didn't do as much. But you can take a look at this weekly chart. It's been amazing since June, right? June we were sitting at about 160, and wow, from 160 to 380. That's like, is that double? Yeah, that's more than double. That's crazy. And that's pretty insane for a huge stock like Google. So just noticing how much strength is in this stock. Let's just pull out our Fibonacci. I don't pull out Fibonacci's that often, but let's do it. All right. So this 23% area is where we did have a reaction, right? You can see that there. This wick is what sent the market up to here, but then we came down. Now this 318, which is a 278, is the next area where we could um head to, but we also have this demand zone to give us some more confirmation there at about 280, 290 areas. So yeah, we could potentially continue heading down on Google. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. But we do have this support area that's holding up. So like I said, we're moving up, we're moving down. There's reasons for the market to go either way. So this is not an easy market to trade. Not gonna lie. You just really got to know what stocks are moving that day. How could you know that? Check out the volume, right? Like the volume on Google has been decreasing. All right, we want to see volume increasing, and that is a predecessor. What's the word? A preceding indication that the price could go up, right? Volume could increase as the price goes down as well, which tells you there is some selling pressure, right? But you got to pay attention to what levels we are potentially hitting, because yeah, we might be coming down hard, but we could be running right into a wall, right? So that's where charting comes into place. Know where your walls are, because that's where we could bounce. All right. And then you look for other signs like higher lows, understand where the resistance levels are, and that could be your targets, because from resistance levels we could head back down. All right. So you got to have multiple skills when it comes to this trading game. Just knowing support and resistance. For some people, it cuts it, but I don't know how much money you could really make from just support and resistance and not knowing anything else. So you got to know how to read the trend. You got to know how to identify your levels, and then you got to know how to execute right around these levels. Know market timing based on whether it's just a candle being green telling you it's going to go up, or a candle being red telling you it's going to go down. It could be as simple as that. And then of course risk management, which is number one. So yeah, man, let me know if you guys got any questions, but I think we did a good job for day one of streaming. This is a marathon, so we're not going to try to do too much, right? We're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to analyze some stocks. We're going to see how SMCI does, because we did say that we could potentially see this go up. Was it SMCI or oh no, sound. We did say SMCI was a nice one, but sound is also an interesting one. But replay the video. You guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. Silver is cool. I believe silver made this crazy run, and everyone was complaining about this big move down. But look at where it came from. Look at where it came from. $40 to $110 in like 2 months. Come on, son. Right? Ridiculous. So even though it's at $71 and they got everyone scared, that's still an amazing price, and silver is still doing really good. And the same goes for gold. Right? If I just throw a little Fibonacci on this, we could see that we are right at that $61 retracement area, which is a very high probability of a bounce. So we got 1, 2, 3.5 bounces, and that could be a potential for the market to go up. Stop loss would be under here at about like 50 something bucks. I like 95 as a good little target, right? You got a nice support level there and some clear air. It's like nice little trend line. Um, silver's looking nice. Silver's looking nice. Check on gold. It's baby brother. And gold is stronger in my opinion than silver. It's harder to really sink gold because it just it's been looked at as more of a precious material, whatever you call it, commodity or gem. It's not a gem, but asset. So gold is looking good, and yeah, not gonna say too much. Not gonna waste my breath, but I will see you guys in the stream tomorrow. Link is in the bio for the Discord community. Um, yeah, stream number 1 is in the books, and I'm proud of you guys for showing up. And I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.